Welcome to another FPL video, guys. In today's video, we're going to be looking at my Game Week 35 team and some of my transfer plans, a review of our Game Week 34, as well as a few players I think you should target if you're going to be using your wild card in Game Week 35. Let's talk about how the Game Week 34 went for me. This was my team going into Game Week 34. As we all know, in my previous video, I mentioned I was going to be using my free hits in Game Week 34. This was how my team turned out ahead of the game week that we just concluded. So I had Neto in post. It was I don't know. Seeing Pickford keep a clean sheet in both games, rack up those save and bonus points, it was painful to watch, especially seeing the fact that Neto was benched in his second game where Bournemouth kept a clean sheet. So he returned just 1 point for me for the double game weekend 34. It was really, really painful to watch, but yeah, Robertson, 3 points. Another really, really hurtful game to watch. The game against Fulham, seeing them concede before halftime and then conceding 2 goals away to Everton in the Merseyside derby. Two very painful games to watch. Came away with just 3 points for me in my free hit team. Gabriel, 12 points return. Really, really grateful for the points returned from him. Good games across both legs. Mitchell, 6 points. Wasn't able to keep a clean sheet in his first game against West Ham, but returned a nice clean sheet with a 2-0 win against Newcastle in the midweek fixtures. Odegaard, one of my really, really great differentials, got a goal for me in 9 minutes of the game against Wolves. Had a 2 assist return against Chelsea with a clean sheet. 20 points haul from him. Really, really nice return. Salah, really disappointed from him. 3 points over both game weeks, returning just 6 points as my captain. Not one I'm looking forward to having much longer in my team. Diogo Jota, one of my differentials as well, brought back an assist and a goal in his first game against Fulham. Unfortunately, he wasn't fit enough to feature in the Everton game. 12 points returning across both games. Did, better than most in my team anyways. Saka blanked in the first game, returned an assist in the second game against Chelsea. 9 point haul from Saka. Watkins, a 2 assist return in his game against Bournemouth over the weekend. 9 points from him. Solanke, a goal in his first fixture. Didn't see any return from him in the second fixture against Wolves. 8 points return. Really, really painful to look at my bench. I have Pickford with 18 points on my bench. Tarkowski with 13 points. Muniz with 7 points. I might as well have bench boosted this week, but I mean, I was on my free hits. We all know we can use 2 chips in 1 week. But really, really positive, outcome of the game week was on 99 points. Green arrow this week. Really excited for it. So let's talk about the game week 35 team, guys. So this is how my team is looking ahead of game week 35. I currently have Dubravka back in goal for me. He's going to be playing Sheffield United. We all saw what he did, or the outcome of the Newcastle Sheffield game was earlier in the season. I think that was one of the greatest scorelines or larger scorelines that we've seen this season. It was an 8-0 scoreline. We saw Newcastle keep a clean sheet, a few returns from the players. So I'm expecting him to keep a clean sheet at least against Sheffield United. He's going to be my keeper in goal going into game week 35. I currently have Gusto in my starting lineup, although it's been confirmed that he's not going to be starting any of the double game weeks or any of the games in the double game week rather. So I think I'm going to be benching him and starting Regulion ahead of him. I don't really believe in taking hits for defenders, and I'm going to have to take a -4 this week for some of the players that I plan to bring in. But we're going to get to that aspect of the video. So I'm going to just put him on my bench, start Regulion ahead of game week 35. If it's truly confirmed that, yeah, he's not going to play any of the games. Regulion has an easier fixture anyways, and Gusto isn't one that I would want just for a single game week, right? So he's going to be moving to my bench. I have Gabriel against Tottenham. Arsenal, best defensive record in the league. I back him too. keep a clean sheet. He also has great attacking threats from Arsenal set pieces, so he has different routes to return ahead of game week 35. I also have Pedro Porro in my defense. We've seen that they're going to be playing Arsenal at home and Chelsea away. Really expecting something from him. We've not really seen him have that massive point return like he had at the beginning of, or rather at the first half of the season. Really hoping that he can bounce back into something more decent towards the ending part. He has a double game week in 35 and in 37, so hoping that he can get some returns back for us in this game week 35. I also have Salah in my team. I've been really, really disappointed with his performances so far. He's one I'm going to be looking to transfer out ahead of the deadline. Still watching and listening for manager press conferences, but I have him in my team for now. He's going to be playing West Ham away from home. He does have a decent record against them, but he's just had a really, really poor run of form. I don't know if I'm going to want to bank on him, seeing as there are other players with better fixtures and better form as well. I also have Cole Palmer. Recent news has told us that he's going to be fit and available for both games. We saw his performance against Aston Villa in the FA Cup across both legs. He was phenomenal in both games. Had two goals and an assist in both games against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. Although he didn't play the first leg to Villa, he hadn't signed for Chelsea at the time. But I do expect him to get something out of the Villa game. He's hosting Tottenham in his second game in the double game week. I do expect another goal thriller over there. We've seen the way Chelsea plays when they play against, the bigger sides. They don't really, really they play like they have everything to lose for, bar the Arsenal game anyways. But I'm looking to have him in my team ahead of game week 35. Garnacho playing against Burnley. I'm really hoping that he can get something against Burnley. He was really unlucky not to get more than just an assist in his previous game in the midweek against Sheffield. I think he hit the crossbar once and missed a few sitters as well, but I do back him as one of my differentials as well going into this week because most people that are going to be on a wild card are going to have Bruno Fernandez and the likes of Rasmus Højlund and the likes in the attack. But I'm going to be going with Garnacho in my midfield. I will have Saka as well. He's one that I'm also keeping an eye on. My potential transfer this week may be between him or Salah in the midfield. But I do have him currently in my game week 35 team. Like I said, when we hear more from the manager's press conferences, I would definitely know whether or not he's going to remain in my team ahead of the deadline. Son Heung-min is the last midfielder in my game week 35 team. He's playing Arsenal at home, Chelsea away. We saw in the first leg he got a brace against Arsenal when they came away with a 2-2 draw. He hasn't really been on decent form in his last 3-4 games, but they didn't play a game in game week 34. So I feel like he's had enough time to rest. We should see him back to a flying form ahead of this double game week he has in game week 35. He's also playing Chelsea away. He has a good record against them as well. Really, really expecting something from him in this game. I also have Erling Haaland up top in my attack, partnered with Ivan Toney. Now there has been a little fitness and injury doubts over Ivan Toney. We've received fitness updates from Thomas Frank in the past two game weeks that he's fit, he's ready to start, and then we've gone ahead to see him like you know be on the bench and not even come on for any feature in the game at all. So he is one I'm also considering to move out of my team going into game week 35. Haaland as well. I have him in my team. I will not be moving away from Haaland in game week 35. There is a slight probability that he might be playing in game week 35. We've seen some news that he's okay. Whether or not he's going to play, we have to wait to hear what Pep Guardiola has to say. They still have a few training sessions before their game away at Nottingham Forest on Sunday. On my bench, I have Areola, I have Muniz, I have Regulon that's going to be coming up for Gusto if he's deemed not fit, and I have Jared Brantwaite. Now, for my possible transfer plans ahead of game week 35, I'm looking at Ivan Toney to probably Alexander Isak or Rasmus Højlund against Burnley. They both have really, really decent fixtures this week. We're going to see Rasmus Højlund against Burnley at Old Trafford, Alexander Isak against Sheffield. So I'm currently stuck between these two. I probably would lean towards Alexander Isak because of his form and his fixtures. He also doubles in 37 as well as Hoyland, but he is a minutes risk, seeing as Callum Wilson is currently back. He featured against Crystal Palace with some minutes, but I will be going for Alexander Isak ahead of Rasmus Højlund. I will be looking to move away from either Salah or Saka. I'm potentially looking at Phil Foden or Anthony Gordon or even Bruno Fernandes, to be very honest. They've all had a terrific run of form. They all have good fixtures going into game week 35. They all double in game week 37 as well. So it just might be between these three if I choose to move away from either Salah or Saka. Bruno Fernandes has returned in 7 out of his last 8. Foden has returned in 4 out of his last 8. And all four were, double figure hauls. Gordon, we all know he has a terrific home form. Um, I do back any of them. I'm just going to wait for manager conferences. I probably would lean towards Phil Foden anyways, but yeah, I'm still going to leave it late to the deadline to make my decision on that one. These are my possible transfer plans. I'm going to be taking a -4 this week because I don't have my wild card to play this week. So these are probably the possible targets I'm going to be going for to finalize my team ahead of game week 35. Finally, my captain armband is going to be going to Cole Palmer. I would also advise that if you have your triple captain, I do feel like this week might be a really, really decent week to use your triple captain on Cole Palmer. He's nailed on minutes, he's on penalties. I do back him to get decent returns in both games. We saw how, woefully Chelsea fared without him in the game against Arsenal, but I do back him. He had a goal and assist against Spurs in the first leg. Like I said earlier in the video, he didn't really play against Villa, but he had an outstanding performance when they met in the FA Cup. I really, really do back him as a triple captain option this week. So if you have your triple captain left to play and you're looking for a possible differential, to just chase rank or something, I do actually recommend Cole Palmer. Son is a decent pick, but I'm just not sure of his form currently. I don't know whether he's going to bounce back. Arsenal having the best defensive record in the league. It's a North London derby. It could go either way, but I do really back Obama. If you have your triple captain, a really, really decent shout. So, talking about, possible transfer targets for people that are going to be on wildcard for 35. Like I've said, I do recommend Bruno Fernandes if you don't have him already. Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne would be another really, really great differential. He's not really nailed on minutes, but I don't see him getting benched for the remainder of the game. City out of the Champions League. They really don't have, you know, so much to think about apart from like the running directly till the end of the season. So I do fancy him as a differential if you're looking to go without Phil Foden, but you do need another Man City asset. Um, I'm also looking at, Brennan Johnson. He's been really, really good for Tottenham so far. He does return an assist and a goal here and there. He's a really, really great shout if you're looking for another player to add to your wildcard game week 35 team. I wouldn't really bank on buying Tottenham defensive assets because I do know that they're going to concede in both games. They haven't really, really been terrific defensively. So I wouldn't, even if I'm going to get a Tottenham defensive assets, it might most likely be their goalkeeper, maybe Vicario, because, he racks up those saves and could probably get save points from the game week. But that would be the only Tottenham defensive asset I'll be looking to get if I'm on my game week 35 wild card. Nicholas Jackson, uh, he gets the chances. That's just the truth. He gets the chances. Who knows? He just might bury them. He just might bury them. So he's another decent shout if you're looking for, differential or you have space on your team and you just want to fill it up. You can go for Nicholas Jackson, a really great differential. We've spoken about Son, spoken about Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, great differential. So I think these are some decent players to target. I do believe that if you're on the game week 35 wildcard draft, or wildcard, selection at the moment, I don't believe you should go away from your Arsenal defensive assets because despite the fact that they do have tough games, they are great defensively, and there's always a potential for clean sheets in whichever game that they're playing. So if you do have your Arsenal defensive assets, I do recommend that you keep them and possibly start them in most of the games that they're going to be playing to the end of the season. I do believe that they still have a few clean sheets in them before the season comes to an end. So yeah, these are the possible transfers that I have looked at if you're going to be using your wildcard ahead of game week 35. So if you've liked this video, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you guys in the next FPL video. Bye guys.